Welcome to Double Play.
Hello and welcome to
damn it.
Double Play, the sports movie podcast here on the Lights Camera Barstool feed of BarstoolSports.com. And buddy, do we have a pair of movies for you today. What we do on this show, we celebrate the best and the worst of sports cinema.
Show everyone your belly.
He's Chris
Show everyone
Klemmer.
your belly here. Look at this. Huh?
I threw a button today.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Were you just like putting on the shirt? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Was it like New Jersey Transit? You were popped and it took someone's eye out?
But it does look as if I'm wearing a white T-shirt under, doesn't it?
It really does.
That almost looks like some sort of visual trick.
Yes, it's a trick, all right. So you broke the chair of the rundown. Your buttons are popping off.
I didn't break the chair.
At which point are you? Which point is like maybe you should lose some weight?
At which point are you? Maybe you should gain some weight.
Well, I'm not breaking clothes.
No, you
I'm
can't
not
break anything.
destroying furniture. I mean, you're falling apart.
You're gaunt. That's what you are.
No argument here. But it's about you.
If he's not going to pay attention, why the fuck did he come in
Oh,
here?
is it wearing black?
The screen goes black every now and then.
black now and then.
All right.
All right.
So today we're talking about Rocky, one of the all-time beloved sports movies, and
Best Picture winner.
and plainly one of the all-time beloved movies.
Yes.
I would say if people were making a list of the 50 best beloved movies, Rocky would probably find its way on the list. It did win Best Picture in 1976, and it spawned many sequels. I guess in the original lines, 5 sequels behind.
6.
No,
oh,
5
5 sequels. Yes.
Yeah. Thought you were outsmarting me, and you outsmarted yourself, didn't you?
I guess.
There's Rocky and the
I know,
5
I know,
sequels.
I know. I understand. You're right. Yes.
And then there's a secondary line. Are they sequels or are they a different universe? They're not different.
Same universe.
Same universe, but are they a different franchise? I guess is the
No, same franchise.
So
It's just kind of like Marvel. You have like Spider-Man.
8 sequels.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, but one of their sequels is seen routinely as maybe one of the worst sequels of all time.
Yes.
And is seen as one that almost, well, it kind of really did sink the franchise.
It did.
And sank it for a good 15 years probably.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that. I never actually saw Rocky Balboa, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I never saw Rocky Balboa.
It's actually not bad. Well, hopefully we'll cover it for the show, but I actually enjoy it.
And Creed 2 and Creed 3 are all fantastic. And then Rocky 2, Rocky 3, and Rocky 4 are all held to certain levels of both critical and fan acclaim.
Yeah, they're very different. It becomes almost like, it goes from a drama to like an action movie during that like 1 through 4 stretch.
I would say 1 and 2 are both dramas.
Yes.
And 3 is where it picks into the action movie.
Right, and it's kind of goofy and funny and silly.
3 and 4 are both goofy fun. And then this tries to be both Rocky 5?
This goes back to being a drama, I think, but fails miserably.
We're going to talk about Rocky 5 at the end.
Brandon.
We're going to talk about Rocky 5 at the end. I didn't hate it. I think its reputation is worse than the actual movie.
You didn't hate Rocky 5. All right, we'll talk about Rocky 5. I can't.
I think its reputation is worse than the actual movie is.
It's not.
Well, that's what I think. Why are we doing this if you're not going to let me say what I think?
But we'll talk about Rocky 5 later, I thought.
Let's talk about Rocky.
All right.
Now, we're going to disagree here a lot, too. What, Klemmer? What? We haven't even started saying opinions yet.
It's fine.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know. I mean, you'll say it's like good, not great, or something, or
This
it's
movie-
old, or something.
this movie
stupid take.
Is, first of all, you can't deny its place in history because every sports movie since 1976 has in some way, shape, or form been trying to be Rocky a little bit.
Yeah, underdog story, musical montage, all the elements.
Everything. This set the formula of every sports movie that was to come. Now, there are some that break the mold, like Moneyball breaks the mold a little bit. And there are some that break the mold and achieve greatness on their own. But mostly, everybody's doing Rocky.
What's your problem with it?
What do you think about Rocky?
I love it. Rocky's one of my all-time favorite
But it's
movies.
not going to be your favorite sports movie because you've already said Field of Dreams.
Didn't say that. Let me fucking talk. You asked me a question. Let me answer it. Good Lord. So, it's one of my top 100 movies of all time. It's one of the greatest sports movies. It's in probably my top 5 sports movies ever. Field of Dreams is my favorite. It doesn't quite match up to that. But it's an excellent movie. It makes me laugh. It makes me cry at the end. It does everything.
Rocky ain't all that, man. Rocky is historically important, culturally important. The sequels, it's one of the most important franchises ever, one of the biggest franchises ever. Rocky, the original movie isn't that good.
It's excellent.
It's not excellent. It's slow. It's slow. It's fuck.
Slow.
It is. Tell me it ain't slow.
I don't think it's that slow. It won the Oscar for Best Film Editing. Now, it is from the 70s. I'm just saying.
Movies in the 70s were different.
It's a slower pace,
yes,
right? Than what people were used to. It doesn't mean bad. It is, but it is at a slower pace than movies today are, for sure. Even compared to the 90s.
This movie drags, man.
I don't think it really does.
This movie drags.
I don't feel that way.
Up. It's just the...
Okay. Okay.
So it's just the TV, right? Okay. So we're not worried about it. All right, get the fuck out of here then. Don't do your job.
Hey,
don't do your job of helping produce us.
We just missed your company, Gooch.
No, we don't. That guy sucks.
Why does he suck? He's good.
I would never say this to his face.
Yeah.
Great guy and hard worker.
Why did you say it to his face? Why wouldn't you say it? Why? Why would you not say it to his face?
So let's talk Rocky. Okay. I need to know something.
All right.
Because I know you researched this movie, and I know you know this movie like the back of your hand.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
1976, this won Best Picture.
Yes.
You know, going forward, Moneyball was nominated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hoosiers wasn't nominated. I
No.
can't. I think of any.
$1 Million Baby won.
$1 Million Baby won.
Raging Bull was nominated.
Chariots of Fire. Does that count? Like,
Chariots of Fire, it counts.
yeah, it was nominated.
Nominated. Raging Bull nominated, did not win.
And that's pretty much the sports movies. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we might be forgetting a couple, but that's...
Okay, but this won Best Picture.
Yes.
What was going on in 1976 that allowed this to win Best Picture?
Well, it won. Not only did it win in one of the most stacked movie years ever.
Really?
Yeah. All the President's Men.
It beat All the President's Men?
Yes.
That's a good movie.
Network.
Okay.
I'm forgetting two other ones here. I know one of them is a more unknown movie.
Like an Oscar
yeah,
pick?
something you wouldn't typically know. Let me find it here. But yeah, I mean it and it's funny, going into the Oscars, even during the Oscars, people didn't think this was going to win. And the reason is because it only had one film editing. So by the time it got to director and picture, it only had one Oscar win.
Right.
Network had one for actor, actress, supporting actress.
Was Stallone nominated for actor?
Stallone was nominated for Best Actor and lost.
Yeah.
He famously has never won. And never won an Oscar for acting. The other movie, Taxi Driver.
Yeah, okay.
So Taxi Driver, Network, All the President's Men, and Rocky, and a movie called Bound for Glory. And Rocky beat all of those movies and won Best Picture. Funny, because it's kind of an underdog story, definitely underdog movie, and it ended up winning. Yeah,
I don't know that I can sit here and tell you that it should have beat All the President's Men, but it is what it is. I don't know, man. This movie, I like, you have to bow at the altar of Rocky. And whenever you talk Rocky from any kind of cynical tone or negative tone, or you point out some flaws with it, people freak out. Like they get real protective of Rocky. I just think as a movie, I just don't think it's all that great.
So I'm very protective of it.
That's fine. Protect it.
Rocky Balboa is my favorite character in movie history. There's no character I love more than Rocky Balboa. I just root for him. I care for him. He's obviously very dumb, but he's so lovable and tries so hard and always tries to do the best thing. You just can't help but like this guy. I don't know. I love him so much as a character. I just think the world of him. And Stallone is perfect in the role. You completely believe that he's this guy.
When it comes to screen time for a character,
Mm-hmm.
Where does Rocky rank in movie history? Like, I know he's behind James Bond, obviously, and maybe somebody in the Star Wars universe, but screen time fully in total, he's got to be way up there, right?
I think he beats the Star Wars universe. I mean, you know, even like Marvel guys, maybe, but he's the star of what, 6 movies, and then he's a supporting actor in 2 other ones. He's not in Creed 3. That's a lot of screen time.
And he's and even when he's those supporting roles, he's in those movies a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, to have that, basically to top bill 6 movies as the same character, that's pretty rare air. Now you mentioned kind of like other like James Bond or other actors playing other things. Batman maybe. There's been a lot of Batman movies. So Superman maybe, but yeah, Rocky is right up there with people, movies that have been performances, fictional characters that we've seen the most in screen.
I'm going to just throw my dislikes at you, and you hit them back at me. We're playing tennis, okay?
All right.
In Rocky, the first movie, is Rocky all that likable of a character?
Absolutely.
Okay.
He is like a muscle for a loan shark.
Yeah.
But he doesn't beat the guy up. I think that's a little bit of a cheat. So if you want to say, hey, this is maybe not I don't know. That doesn't seem very realistic to me. They're trying too hard to make Rocky likable, where meanwhile this Stallone's portrayal to me is enough. But I think you needed that element to make Mickey not like Rocky, or Mickey not to put his faith in Rocky. You need to have Rocky have some darkness to it.
So Mickey doubts the human being that Rocky is. He has to have a reason to doubt him.
Right. And
not want to get on his team.
Right.
Okay. To look down on him.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to be disappointed by Rocky. I think he knows Rocky has this great talent, but then he feels like he's throwing it away by hanging out with loan sharks or other things.
Now, I'm just going to do this briefly.
Okay.
Because you and I know the movie. But I would assume every now and then somebody watches this that doesn't know the movies we're talking about. So, Rocky obviously won Best Picture, correct? So, Rocky is a down-on-his-luck fighter who's just fighting for pride, basically, in Philly. He's a small-time boxer in Philly.
Everyone knows the story of Rocky. I mean, come on. I mean, some of these movies I get explaining it, but this one?
Rocky is the least watched Rocky movie to me in my life.
We hadn't seen Rocky 5 or Rocky Balboa.
I've watched Rocky 2. I've watched Rocky 3. I've watched Rocky 4 a lot. And I've seen all the Creed. This watching of, well, actually, we watched it a couple months ago to do it the first time.
Right.
This watching was probably my third or fourth time to ever watch it all the way through.
Wow.
I think a lot of people just know the Rocky character through the other movies and through his lore without having watched this as closely as somebody like you.
Well, this is maybe until Rocky 5. So if you just look at the first 4, this is the least fun Rocky movie.
There's nothing fun about this movie.
There is some fun things. They're in smaller moments, which I really enjoy. Like him going to the pet shop and just telling Adrian jokes. Like that's very sweet, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Him just being alone, talking to his turtles. You see kind of the loneliness, but you also see he's trying to entertain himself, and he does have a big heart. But there's a lot less laughs, and like you don't have like the goofiness of Rocky 3. You don't have a robot and Paulie in Rocky 4. Right. There's none of that stuff here. It's a very grounded movie.
Yeah, it's and that's actually what Rocky 5, we'll talk about it later, tries to get back to that. Yes. But once the lipsticks, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, you ain't putting it back in. No. And they tried to do it, and they made a mess.
Yes.
But all right, so Rocky ends up getting a fight with Apollo Creed, the heavyweight champion. Now, this is my favorite part of Rocky, is Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed.
Incredible performance.
If they botched that casting, I don't think the movie's as good. I don't think the movie has that big of a leg. They had to. This was such a tightrope they had to walk of a heavyweight champion that is bombastic, that is loquacious, that is everything, that is larger than life and kind of an asshole, but also pretty likable and you want him to be on screen, and you get his motivation for what he's doing, and you don't hate him, but you're still going to root for Rocky, even though you kind of like the guy.
It's incredibly layered performance. So basically, if you look at the last 50 years of the 20th century, you can make an argument the most complex athlete from 1950 to 1999 is Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Okay? So Carl Weathers is basically, when Stallone wrote this, he obviously had Ali in mind, but Weathers isn't doing an Ali impression. He's putting his own take on it, but it's the same kind of complexity where Ali is so bright, so charismatic, but yet still kind of could be difficult at times. But at the end of the day, you really like him. He's a fair and good guy.
Well, what's remarkable about that comparison is in 1976 or 75, I assume, when they filmed it, Ali's still going. He's still he's still boxing. He's not at the top of his game anymore, but he's still going. So it had to mirror almost what was going on in real life.
Yes.
Now I do think, because Muhammad Ali would take stands and made himself unlikable to people. Some people. Right, he made himself
political stance against the war.
Right, he made himself polarizing.
Yes.
This is just what's the best? He's a character.
Yes,
he's a flashy, flamboyant character who's also a tremendous boxer. And if you think the name Rocky, right? This movie is Rocky, and it's about Rocky, and he fronts every movie. But goddamn, as a secondary character, Apollo Creed spawned a hell of a career for people too. Apollo Creed. This character spawned 3 movies.
Yeah,
and then it was very key. He was very key on 1, 2, and 3,
and 4.
Yeah, like he's been right there along for the ride. No,
the performance is so good. So I wanted to do this. So Carl Weathers did not get nominated for an Oscar, but a lot of people in this movie did. Stallone for Best Actor, Tyler Shire for Best Actress as Adrian, Burgess Meredith and Burt Young for Best Supporting Actor. So Paulie and Mickey got it. And
I think that's insane. I think that's fucking insane. I think, especially Burgess Meredith, okay, but what was the guy's name?
Burt Young? Oh, Burt Young's great.
Burt Young getting it and not Carl Weathers is insanity. I'm sorry. First of all, the character of Paulie sucks. And I think he sucks throughout the entire franchise.
But you're supposed to not like him.
But as the franchise matures, you kind of do like. You're supposed to like him.
They took some of the edge off of him.
They took the edge off him. But in this movie, he's just a fucking asshole.
He's a horrible person.
Like there's a lot of bad fucking people in this movie. This movie is not. If you're of my age or younger than us, if you're 10 years younger than us, and you grew up on Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, this ain't that movie.
No.
This is a hard scrabble guy that had to fight from underneath Rocky. Yep. Got a once in a lifetime opportunity and made the most of it. But his relationship with Adrian is awkward at times.
Yep.
And Paulie, her brother, maybe he's a wisecracker in Rocky 4, Rocky 5, Rocky 3. In 1, he's a fucking ass.
Oh, he's very abusive.
He's abusive to her,
physically and psychologically.
Yeah. He's a freeloader.
She's making a Thanksgiving dinner. He throws the turkey in outside. Like she's worked hard. And he's screaming at her.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I look at this movie, I think Rocky is the number one. That's why we're all here. I think Apollo Creed is the second person that makes it work. And the fact that he didn't get the nomination and those other two guys did is crazy to me.
Well, just because he's not likable doesn't mean he's not doing a great performance, though. I
understand. I understand. I mean? But I think that guy's performance is a little bit too. I don't know. I don't like the character. I don't like anything about it. So I guess I'm just too put off. I hate when he's on screen.
Oh, I kind of enjoy
Paulie,
I enjoy the chaos of Paulie. I don't like him, especially in this movie. But I do enjoy, I don't know, because with Rocky, he's such a good person, and Adrian's so meek. I think you need that agent of chaos to kind of go in and create some drama there.
All right. Another counterpoint.
Okay.
You're gonna get mad.
Okay.
We couldn't have got somebody hotter to play Adrian.
Oh, that's foolish. I think it actually works really well. In fact, so I'm gonna take the other route. I think she's almost like too pretty at sometimes. When she's like all made up near the end of the movie, it's like, oh, she's pretty, and it's like, oh, I can kind of like. But like Rocky doesn't even have a TV in his apartment. He's so poor. He's so down. He's a
look at him. He's a gorgeous man.
Oh yeah, I mean he's very good looking. Especially he takes his shirt off. He's like he's hanging, like he's got muscles on top of muscles. But I mean, she's pretty. You don't think she's pretty in The Godfather as the sister there? You don't think she's attractive at all? I mean, she's not like she's not a traditionally beautiful.
We couldn't have got somebody hotter to play Adrian.
I don't know. I think it works.
Okay,
that's a lame.
All right, I'm going to throw something else at you.
All right.
The Rocky and Adrian's relationship is pretty much the cornerstone of the entire franchise. But in this one, they meet. And I don't know if they meet. Do they meet? They know each other already, right? Or he knows Paulie. That's right. That's what happened.
He knows Paulie. He's kind of like friendly with Paulie in a way.
Yeah.
And then she got the job at the fish market, and the pet shop right
there. Their relationship is just really awkward to start. And like the first time it's implied they have sex.
Yeah.
That's an awkward. It's almost it's rapey.
Yeah, that scene. So all right. So if
it's a weird scene.
This is one I kind of can't defend.
Yeah.
So this does not age well.
They're sitting there watching TV, or they're sitting there in the apartment, and she gets up to go, and
even before that,
and he's like dragging her back.
Yeah. I mean, he never really drags her back, but right off the bat, he's like walking her home, and he basically goes to his house. He's like, well, I'm going inside. They're in a shitty part of like a dangerous. It feels like it's a dangerous neighborhood.
Right.
You wouldn't want her to walk. In fact, he even says, "Oh, I'll walk you home. You shouldn't go home." So like he's basically forcing her to either walk home in a dangerous area or go into his apartment. Shitty move. She goes in the apartment, and he more or less kind of blocks her from leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's ever right. Obviously, it's very it's not great. It's not a great scene.
It's an uncomfortable watch.
It is. I understand what he was trying to do. I think when he wrote it was like he needed to basically to shake the shy out of her, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's not. Especially what we know now, it's just it doesn't age well. It's kind of it's easily Rocky's worst moment in the franchise. The character's worst moment. I'm not going to defend it
by far. Now I have spent this time poking holes at Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
You come in and tell me where this is just the greatest movie ever.
It's one of them for me. I love how quiet it is. I love that it shows loneliness, and it shows how it's, because I think loneliness isn't shown much on film because it's just one person. You don't see it a ton.
Yeah.
But it all felt very true and real, and like he doesn't get like. And sometimes the stakes are small. He doesn't get a locker. Sometimes the stakes are huge. He's fighting for the heavyweight championship. But I like how they all play a role. I love the relationship between him and Adrian. Besides that one scene, I love like when Paul was screaming at her and he walks into her room and she's like, "Oh, you need a roommate?" He's like, "Absolutely." Like that's great. That almost like gives me like chills. Like, oh, it's so nice. These people who are both kind of outcasts can find each other. And then at the end, I think the last 20 minutes are amazing. The music's incredible. The fight's incredible with him and Apollo. I think it's just fantastic. And then at the end of the movie, it doesn't matter if he won or lost because he's this lonely guy, which is the root of the movie, found love. And that makes me cry every time.
Yeah, no, I get it. At no point will I say it's a bad movie. It's just different from the rest of the franchise. It plods along a little bit.
Where does it plod for you? You keep saying it's slow. Where is it slow?
I think I think just that middle section, man. I mean, we meet him and then we set all the characters and stuff, but it just kind of meanders along there for a little bit.
The scene with him and Mickey in Rocky's apartment when Mickey goes and kind of begs him to be his manager. That is one of my it's an amazing scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in movies.
Yeah. That's
right around the middle. That doesn't work for you. That scene is incredible.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh.
It's fine. I don't know what to tell you.
It's fine. I mean the performances there are so great. They're both. That's one of Stallone's best acting jobs. You see him at first, he's like apprehensive, then he gets slowly angrier and angrier.
Yeah.
You see how desperate Mickey is. And then, I mean, just watching Mickey go down that stairs as Rocky's yelling at him, and he's so defeated. And then Rocky runs out because he feels bad. And Mickey at first flinches. It's all so great. And I just love that scene so much. There is one scene I would cut out of this movie besides the kind of the date rapey scene.
Yeah. Which you wouldn't cut out, right?
I wouldn't cut out. I would change that.
Okay.
What I would cut out though is when he's talking to like the teenage girl and he's telling her that she can't be a loser and she's gonna be a whore. Like, there's no need for that to be in the movie. That's like 2 minutes. You could just. I understand they're trying to show that Rocky can never win. Rocky is difficult. Like he wants to do the right thing, but he's always kind of a socially awkward. There's other quicker ways to show that aren't as creepy or weird.
Now, I will give you credit. The fight scene is, I mean, it's goosebump inducing. The entire, now it's way too theatrical for what, the Rocky fight scenes are hysterically theatrical, but that is what it is.
Historically, right? Not hysterically, right?
Hysterically theatriral.
You think they're funny?
Historically and what did I say?
You said hysterically.
Historically theatrical.
Okay.
All the Rocky fights are theatrical.
As long as you're not saying they're funny, because they're not funny, they're great.
I don't know if they're you watch them. I mean, and like Rocky will get hit and stumble back 20 feet and then stumble forward. Like, that fight would have been stopped in seconds. What? You know that I'm right. You know, the Rocky gets knocked down, like, what? How many times? Especially in the Rocky 4 fight, which I know is a different movie.
Yeah.
How many times did he get knocked down in that movie?
He's knocked down a lot.
He gets knocked down like 9 times. And that fight doesn't continue. That's theatrical, and it's kind of funny.
We don't know what the referees are going to do there. You act like you know so. Just yeah, I don't like that. I love those fight scenes. They're
like those
very exciting.
Like, if you stacked up I'm saying the movies, just the fight scenes from the Creeds and the Rockies, it's not even close. The Creed scenes are so much.
That's not fair.
What do you mean it's not fair?
There's different ways you can make movies.
You will not criticize this movie.
I did. I criticized it twice. So there's 2 things I would change in this movie. I would take out that scene.
You don't think the fight scenes are a little too much sometimes?
No.
Ever.
I think they're awesome. I'm all in. That music, especially that.
I'm not talking about the music.
No. When the first notes of that, it's not the theme song. It's almost like the alternate theme song.
Yeah.
When that starts, I am all in. The adrenaline's running. I think my heart rate increases. I've seen this movie. I don't know. I've had the VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray. And obviously growing up on cable. I saw. Now you're right. Rocky 3 and 4 were on HBO more because they were more recent. But this was on a lot. I've seen this movie, so I'm all in. Like I'm just locked in. I'm like a laser focused, and I'm excited. I'm like, go. Like oh my god, they're so perfect to me. They're so well done. It might be. So we'll get into John Giavelston. He's the director of both movies. it's one of my favorite things he did was the fight scenes here. This whole movie is really well directed. I know you don't think it's pacing. I think that's also just indicative of the time. I can also appreciate 1970s movies for those quiet moments.
Yeah.
I think nowadays sometimes it's too quick, and especially it's like Rocky IV. It's like 90 minutes. Like it's super short.
I got to be honest. I probably, when it comes to 70s movies, I've probably seen 5 70s movies in my life.
No, really?
I would say Rocky.
Yeah.
Jaws, Godfather.
Godfather 2.
Never seen it.
Are you shitting me?
I've never seen it. I don't really care. Godfather's fine, but I don't care about mob movies. I don't like mob movies. I don't. What?
It's fine.
What do you mean it's fine? Yeah, it's fine. This is, you motherfuckers from the Northeast always do this. You never seen The Godfather Part 2? We don't all worship the mob's dick like you guys do in the Northeast. You guys like these certain things. The Godfather is a good movie. I never rushed out and saw Godfather 2. Jaws,
rushed out.
Jaws, Rocky,
It's Godfather 1.
Godfather 1. I've seen All the President's Men. Watched that for the first time a couple years ago. Star Wars.
Yep.
So that's 5.
Yep.
I don't know that I've seen many more movies in the 70s.
Yeah, it was different. So a lot of people feel the 70s is the best decade in film. You have
No
movies
chance.
like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is fantastic. You haven't mentioned that. All That Jazz, which is a movie that I love that a lot of people haven't seen. But
real quick, just on that topic.
Yeah.
You like 80s or 90s movies better?
No, 90s.
Okay.
A mile ahead. 80s, a lot of film.
80s is pretty good.
80s are pretty good in a certain genre. It's a lot of kind of what you. There were a lot of movies that were great for kids growing up in the 80s.
Yeah.
If you were an adult in the 80s, you look at what won Best Picture or what was nominated, it wasn't that great.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
But
very,
90s had stuff for everybody.
90s was fantastic. I think 90s is the greatest decade in film history, but that's my opinion. But the 70s were fantastic. There's a movie called The Conversation, which is the movie that Coppola made between Godfather 1 and Godfather 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very quiet, very low key. It's Gene Hackman. Best performance Gene Hackman ever gives. It's fantastic. But it's very quiet. And that's a movie you just wouldn't see any other decade. It wouldn't see it before the 70s and you wouldn't see it after.
Seen The Jerk.
The Jerk, and that's 79. So now we're talking like late 70s.
Well, I'm just trying to
But
get
no,
all my
it's fair.
70s movies.
Right. You've probably seen Blazing Saddles.
We're at 7.
Okay, yeah, I'm just, there's a few here, but the ones you're talking about, there are the classics.
The
and
big
some of
ones,
like
yeah.
Jaws, where it aged so well, it almost doesn't even feel like a 70s movie.
Yeah.
But this really does. Rocky 1 feels like a 70s movie.
And to me, it's not as even as much compared to other movies of today, but it just feels different from every other Rocky movie.
A Rocky 2.
Okay, well, Rocky 1, Rocky 2,
Yes.
and then Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 are almost different franchises, even though they're not.
You see how it's the cool thing about Rocky, you just kind of see how the film industry changes. Like it wasn't these quiet movies anymore. It became more bombastic. It became these like louder action movies. And you see it in the Rocky series.
But credit to the people who made it, because Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 are both good, really good movies.
Yes.
And Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 are completely different, but also good movies.
Still wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
And Stallone wrote all those movies.
Entertaining is the best description of both those two movies.
And that's what 80s movies went for.
Because 4 is absurd. 4 is absurd.
But it's wildly entertaining.
It's entertaining.
And that's what movies became. 70s movies were more thoughtful. They were quieter. 80s movies were more bombastic, but also just like wildly entertaining and fun. They were more fun than 70s
the
movies.
summer blockbuster became a thing in the 80s,
Yep.
right? And
It started with Jaws.
Kind of played to those crowds. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it evolved into where the 80s it jumped up through the roof.
Yes.
But yeah, the Rocky series started here. It's one of the great franchises in the history of film. This is a good movie. I wouldn't, if you take in the Creed movies, I would say it's at least my 4th favorite Rocky movie.
So you haven't seen Rocky Balboa yet?
I haven't. I don't think Rocky Balboa is going to threaten it, is it?
I guess I don't know how much you don't like this.
Let's just say you threw a stack of DVDs right here and said pick out your favorites. I would pick Rocky 3 and Rocky 4.
Okay.
Then I'd pick Creed 1, and then I might get to Rocky. But I like Creed 2 a lot too.
Okay.
I personally think Creed is the best Rocky movie, and I know you think that's crazy.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
It's a tremendous movie.
It's a very good movie. I liked it a lot.
Creed is the best Rocky movie, in my opinion.
Okay.
What is the best Rocky movie?
It's this one. It's the best movie. 3 is like the funniest. I guess 4 is like the most fun. 2 is really interesting. Creed 1 is fantastic. I haven't seen Creed 3 yet. Creed 2 is good.
Creed 3 is good.
Creed 2 was quite a bit weaker than Creed 1.
Creed 3 is better than Creed 2.
Rocky Balboa is good. I think Creed 1 is better than Rocky Balboa.
And then Rocky 5 is the...
Rocky 5. So those are all movies I genuinely really enjoy.
Yeah.
And then there's like 10 levels of shit, and then Rocky 5.
Before we get to Rocky 5, who's the MVP of this movie?
Oh, Stallone. I mean, he wrote it.
I mean, that's the
coolest story ever, and it's the greatest bet on yourself move. They offered him he was broke. He was broke, eating he couldn't even afford his dog. He had the dog Brutus is his real dog, who he had to have somebody else watch for a while because he couldn't afford the dog food. They offered him $100,000 for the script, and he said no.
But they wouldn't let him be Rocky.
Right. He's like, and he held out. And finally, they loved the script so much they're like, fine, I guess we'll do it with $1 million budget. You can be Rocky. But I mean, imagine that. Imagine you're that broke, and they basically giving you, almost $1 million in now money.
In the world that they pay him that $100,000, and the studio then gets the script. They're going to botch it probably. But who is Rocky?
I mean, sure, they would have wanted someone like a Redford or someone, someone who was very different.
But nobody, no famous actor would have pulled this off.
You wonder, maybe, you hope maybe De Niro. Would De Niro have done it? But if that happens, does he not do Raging Bull?
I don't think De Niro can have that the goofy likability that's under Stallone. Rocky at his core is he's kind of a goofball.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a goofball, but he's tough as nails, and he's got the heart of a lion. But he's goofy as fuck.
But he knows he's kind of goofy. He has fun with it. He's playful about it.
Yeah, he understands.
Yeah.
But I don't. There's a lot of elements De Niro would crush Rocky, but I don't think he would do that one very well.
No, I mean, this is the perfect casting. I said there's no one. There's no one in film I love more than Rocky Balboa, and it's because of Stallone.
Now a Stallone question: do you love Stallone outside of Rocky, or is this Stallone to you? Is this the peak? Maybe this is the peak. Maybe that's not the way to ask it. But did this movie make you a Stallone fan for life, or just a Rocky fan for life?
Both, I guess, but I'm definitely more of a Rocky fan than a Stallone fan. I'm not a huge the first Rambo movie is good. I don't really love the other one. It becomes just a violent, it's over the top, just shooting things for 90 minutes. Porn, yeah. It's I'm not all set with that. But he's really good in Copland, which is it's a flawed movie, but he's very good in it. So I mean, Stallone is a very good actor. I think he hasn't done himself a lot of favors.
I love Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger's it's a good action movie. Yeah. It's a really good action movie.
Yeah.
And you can't help but like him in that. So I think Stallone is a really good actor.
Stallone's a really good actor.
He's also a really good screenwriter.
And I also think this not winning Best Actor here is not his biggest snub.
You think the Creed?
I think him as a supporting actor in Creed.
Well, I agree.
I mean,
I agree, but maybe for different reasons. I think his performance here is probably better than in Creed. It's close. I'm not going to argue that. But the difference is because of who he was going up against. So when he lost Creed, he lost to Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies, which Mark Rylance is a very nice actor. But when he lost here, he lost to Peter Finch in Network as Howard Beale, which is an amazing performance. Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, which is one of the greatest acting performances ever.
Yeah.
William Holden in Network, he's very good in that. And then someone named Giancarlo Gianni in Seven Beauties. I don't know anything about that role. But he was going up against some heavyweights of all time, and he lost. But though when he lost for Best Supporting Actor, that was a much weaker field.
He should have won that.
He should have won that.
He should. I mean, you just can't tell me there was a better supporting actor turn there that year than Rocky.
And it's also a little bit of a hat tip to what he's done with this role for so long. I know you're only supposed to judge the movie, but I mean, come on, guys. A little bit of a nod there. It's sad because it looks like Rocky has had this horribly public fight with Irwin Winkler, the producer of Rocky. He's 91 years old now. But he's fighting with Winkler's family because he was really upset that he doesn't have any sort of ownership on the Rocky role.
Yeah.
Because he went and did the Rocky sequels, but he did it for large paydays and didn't get anything on the back end.
So, how does he not have ownership of the role, though? If the scenario you threw me earlier was he wouldn't do it, he wouldn't sell it to the studio without him being Rocky, he didn't negotiate ownership in that?
Well, I mean, you can only negotiate something. He was really,
he wasn't negotiating from power, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he barely could get himself as the lead. Now, you wonder when he's doing Rocky 4, could he, at that point, have gone and be like, hey, look, listen, I'm not going to take a pay. Well, don't give me salary. Give me 15% of Rocky. And maybe they would have done that, had those conversations with him. But he didn't do that on his end. So that's a little bit on him. But he's really angry at Irwin Winkler and his family. He's like, I want to give Rocky to my kids. It's something I created. It's the thing I'm most proud of.
And the family said, no, we own it.
Let me ask you this about Rocky, the original movie. Forget about the sequels.
Okay.
Don't forget they exist.
Okay.
You're sitting down to watch this for the first time. Do you think there was ever, when they were writing this movie, there was ever an idea of rewriting to where he wins, to where he gets his moment in this movie, or what?
Other way around. So when the original script came out, when they did this, he throws the fight on purpose because the boxing world in the original script, I guess, was very cynical and full of like gangsters and bad people, and he chose to take a dive because he didn't want to play along with the nonsense. Luckily, they got rid of that, and they kept the ending where it's more about his finding love and him staying on his feet. That's a victory. Him just going to to judge his decision is a win for Rocky.
Him making something of himself through this, through the sheer will,
right. Which is a much better story. If they had the original one, that's very cynical and dark, and that's not going to last 50 years. Like
it's a tremendous story, and also one of the great stories within the story is Creed. They write Apollo Creed as they fight in that fight. The where it goes from cockiness to respect by the end.
To fear. There's fear mixed in, right? It's like, I got this is easy, to all of a sudden you realize, this is a fight.
Right. And then and I don't remember, was it in this movie or was it in the next one where right after they hugged, it was like, no rematch.
They do it here.
They do it here. Okay.
No rematch. Yeah, the second one ends, they're in the hospital bed, right?
That's right.
And we don't know. They're like, they have a third one. It happens in the hospital. We find out in Rocky Balboa what happened.
And the third
Creed, right? Creed or Rocky Balboa, we find out what happened there.
No. Well, the third one, right?
Rocky
2 ends with a hospital bed. Rocky 3 ends with ding ding, and they start to throw a punch, right?
I thought it was in the hospital at the end of Rocky 2, but we'll do
those.
No.
That's at Rocky 3. They have the fight at the end of Rocky 3.
Okay.
The unseen fight.
The unseen fight. That's 3? Yeah. Okay, I thought it was 2. Okay.
And then and then yeah. So all right, what's your score for Rocky?
99. I Field Dreams is 100. This is just misses, and only because of that. Honestly, that date rapey scene it takes me out of the movie. It's and maybe it should. Maybe it's just who these people are. But unfortunately, I'm seeing this in 2023. I have that mindset. Just misses there.
I might just go home and plow through all the Rockies because I learned something yesterday. Because you have DVDs, you didn't even look. All the Rockies are on Netflix.
Oh wow! Okay, great.
Yeah, all the Rockies are on Netflix.
All right.
All the way through Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
And then I think the Creeds are on HBO Max.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Or at least they were. So if you want to watch them, you can go watch them right now on Netflix. I give it a smooth 90.
Okay, all right.
Right at
that's
90.
fine. I'm
so
fine
I'm
with
the
that.
80.
I thought you were going to go like 75 on me.
Oh,
it's
okay.
The way you were talking, I was
it is a great movie. To me, there have been better sports movies after it. And it is treated as the be all end all by some people. You can't criticize it at all. It's on a pantheon. It's on a pedestal, and I don't know that this standalone movie deserves the pedestal that it has.
I think it absolutely deserves it, and then some.
Okay. That was my opinion.
Yes, which is wrong.
It's not wrong. People can have different opinions.
Yes. Rocky 5.
Rocky came out in 1976.
Correct.
I was born April of 1979. You were born October? November of 79. We're the same age.
Yep.
The first Rocky you saw in theaters? 4?
No. My parents were not big Rocky fans. I watched them on HBO and stuff, but my parents weren't big sports fans, so boxing was around my house. I think it was about 12. It was after Rocky 5 came out. I actually sat down. I'm like, I'm going to watch these. I watched the first one. I'm like, oh my God. I really sat down.
You didn't see Rocky until you were 12 years old.
I saw them, but they were on. I saw Rocky 4. That's not true. So Rocky 4 I would watch a lot because it was funny. It had a robot, and I liked the Drago character.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen the other ones sit down and really watch them until I was almost a teenager.
All right. So in 1990.
Yes. November of 90.
November of 90. So Rocky 4 was 86.
Right? 85?
85 or 86?
Yeah.
Maybe 85.
Yeah.
So I think Rocky 3 was 83. And Rocky 4 was 85 or 86.
Okay.
So we go about 4 or 5 years with no Rocky. And then we get Rocky 5.
Right.
Comes out in 1990. Now, I don't know what time of year it came out.
November. Because it's right before Godfather 3 came out. So in a matter of a month, you had 2 of the worst sequels ever.
Wow. Both from 70s classics.
Both have, I keep mispronouncing her name. Talia Shire was in both of them.
Goodfellas was in theaters at the same time?
That was 90. Yes, it was. Right.
Home Alone's coming.
Home Alone came out the same week as Rocky 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I assume Home Alone cleaned its clock.
Oh, it destroyed it, and no one saw it coming. Everyone thought, all right.
Cute little picture. Yeah.
Rocky 5 is going to be number 1 in the box office, and instantly it was not.
I remember Home Alone. I remember being in the line to go see Home Alone the night it came out.
Like, Home
Alone was huge.
Home Alone was in theater, was top 10 until April.
Yeah, Home Alone was gigantic. Yeah. That's funny.
It came out the same day. 17 million for Home Alone, 14 million for Rocky 5.
Well, it didn't clean its clock then.
It did.
17 to 14
is cleaning the clock when you consider what those movies were, and then what happened was word of mouth, and then Home Alone just kept going.
Poor Rescuers Down Under coming out the same day.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Let's see what else was in theaters. So this, I guess, was the first wave of big holiday movies.
Yep.
Because Child's Play 2 had been out 2 weeks. Let's see. Yeah, Quigley Down Under. None of these are big movies.
Tom Selleck.
Memphis Belle, Dances with Wolves is really, it was a slow burn with that one, right?
Yep.
And then in its 19th week, Ghost was still pumping
Which was
along.
a monster hit.
Ghost was a monster hit. Yeah, that was back in the summer. So yeah, this was Rocky 5 and Home Alone the same week.
Same day. Yeah.
Wow. I was definitely in the theater to see Home Alone. Can I be honest? I don't remember Rocky 5 coming out. I don't remember Rocky 5 being a thing in theaters. I don't remember the commercials, and this is a time where I remember most of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of advanced. Here it is, huge movie. I don't remember it.
I vaguely do, but it's hard for me to, it was so long ago, it's hard for me to remember kind of what I know.
But
now
I remember
about
exactly. I remember Home Alone. I remember everything.
Home Alone. Oh yeah, I saw it in the theaters. I mean, the thing was, all of our friends were probably talking about Home Alone too. It was in the theaters until April. This was in the theaters for a month and a half.
Yeah. So I don't remember a lot of hubbub for it, and I didn't see it in theaters. In fact, I didn't see it at all until last night.
That's crazy to me.
First time I ever saw it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of sports movies. I appreciate Rocky, but I wouldn't call myself just a diehard stan of Rocky.
Oh, I am. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Yeah.
So it's not like when a Rocky movie's coming out, I got to be there. I watched it last night. When's the last time you saw it? I assume you saw it.
I saw it, I think, 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
And you watched it recently?
Rocky 5, I watched it. And I just watched it last night. I watched it. Yeah. I watch every time we do that. I watch each movie.
Okay. So take the lead on this one.
Okay.
Give me a little Rocky 5.
So Rocky 5, we're going to do a plot point for this, I guess. Maybe people haven't seen this. Is that what you want? Like a summary of the plot? Or you want my review?
You're so stupid.
Yeah.
Let's just say where it starts off. It starts off literally in the locker room of the Drago fight.
Right. So Rocky 4 just ended. In fact, the credits, the best part of the movie, we're seeing highlights of the Drago Rocky fight.
And it is drawn out.
Yes.
They show 5 minutes of highlights.
Yeah.
It is long and drawn out. We go through the Drago fight, and then it opens with him in the locker room, and his trainer is that Duke?
Yeah.
And he's pumping him up, and he says, "Go get Adrian," and Rocky's shaking, and he's sick, and he's showing signs of wear and tear.
Yeah, can't stop trembling.
Yeah. He's down bad.
Yeah.
And that's where Rocky 5 takes off. We're seeing him off his biggest victory to that point, and then he goes right into his lowest low, I guess.
Right. Now, the time is interesting here. So
this movie doesn't know what to do with time.
No.
This movie has no idea what time is or how age works or any of that.
No.
Because it's released in 90, but it starts, we're in 1985 or 86 again.
Right.
And it never really covers the time in between.
No.
It never really...
There's no in between. We're in
1986 forever.
I guess technically, we're in 86.
We never get out of 86.
Right. Even though his son is played by the same actor.
And he's older.
Yeah, he went from being 9 to 14
like
overnight.
That's my biggest question about this was the way they handled time later in the movie.
Oh, me too.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
So anyway, let me just set up the premise of this movie, just the way they put him in the outhouse. So Rocky comes back, they get on a plane, and this was the weirdest scene. This was when I knew, all right, well, this one isn't as well made as the others. They fly in and they land, and you see the plane rolling up, and there's a crowd gathered to meet them. There's a band, and the band, an actual band, a marching band, is out there, and it is playing Gonna Fly Now.
Yeah.
Is playing the Rocky theme. To my knowledge, the Rocky theme isn't a part of the Rocky universe. They never hear it in Rocky. Why are they playing the Rocky theme?
That's weird. That bothered you more than it bothered me. That's
weird.
My thing was the crowd was like not that many people, and then the weird press conference. I mean, that's where I was like, what has happened?
The boxing press in this movie are the biggest assholes in the history of the world.
Wild press conference. I mean, the reporters are. I mean, they're sexually harassing women by the end of it.
So they get off the plane where the band plays "Gonna Fly Now." I don't know how you don't think that's weird. They get off the plane and they sit down at a press conference. It's Rocky, his son, and Adrian. And for some reason, Adrian has a mic too.
Yes.
And they're answering questions. And the boxing press is like, so Rocky, what are you going to do? And he says, I want to go home. Oh, Rocky, what are you? You big coward?
Yeah, right.
You big fucking pussy? You a coward? Are you going to fight somebody? You fucking big Italian oaf? Like, whoa.
And then in the middle press conference, the Don King character, also called Duke, comes over.
That was weird.
And just jumps in the middle of press. It's not his manager.
George Washington Duke is his name.
Yes. A rogue manager just jumps in the middle of the press conference.
With his boxer.
No one bats an eye, really.
And he walks up on there, and then he does his spiel. And as soon as he does his spiel, hey, Rocky, you need to fight my guy. And he turns, and they look at the press, and the press is like, so what about it, Rocky? You going to fight this guy or not? And Rocky's just sitting there, beaten up. And at this point, did you say Stallone wrote this movie?
Yes.
Rocky.
He's written all these.
Rocky in this movie is kind of presented as just a dumb lump of cells. Like he's just sitting there in that press conference like, I don't know. I can't speak for myself. And Adrian's trying to talk for him, and George Washington, like, he is borderline special needs at this point.
And the whole idea of the Adrian character is someone who's very shy. All of a sudden, she's like running a press conference.
She's answering questions.
Like, what?
She's pointing, question from you.
Yeah, right.
Like, what the hell? You immediately know the Rocky universe you've been crafted and given.
Who he created. He created these characters.
Is taking a deep, quick departure.
Yes.
Now, after that, Rocky just wants to go home. Adrian wants him to retire. He just wants to go home. He's not really keen on retiring.
Yeah.
He agrees to go to the doctor to see. Yep. They find out he has brain damage and he has to retire. But, okay, the way they throw him into financial turmoil is Paulie, Rocky's accountant got Paulie to go to Russia and get Rocky to sign for a tax extension, but he was actually signing power of attorney for this accountant, and this accountant in one fell swoop took all of Rocky's money.
Everything.
Every bit of Rocky's money. Keep in mind, this guy's been a heavyweight champion, famous boxer for 15 years. Well, I guess in the universe, 10 years.
Right.
For 10 years, he's been at the top of the boxing game. Right. I would assume he has money upon money stacked here, there, everywhere. He's got interest. He's got this. Nope. This accountant says power of attorney, took it all, and Rocky goes from living in a mansion to broke in seconds.
And not only that, but so Rocky tries to get, like, what happened here? And they're like, oh, you also can't do endorsements because no one would hire you because you have, like, legal issues.
This guy just got done with the biggest fight in the history of boxing, beating Drago. He would be the biggest star in America.
Yes!
He would be the biggest star in America. He would have revenue streams. Rocky could just sit back and just... Also, I don't think he's been paid from the Drago fight yet. Like there's no way in the world a famous person comes...
Like this famous... Like he would have been like... It would have been Michael Jordan.
He's top 10 famous in the world at this point.
Or Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Rocky. If this is real life, right?
Yes.
85, 86?
Yeah.
Like, who would have been bigger?
No, that's about it.
Any football player.
Later in the 80s, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, but at this point, it would have been Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and
maybe like Wayne Gretzky. I bet he's bigger than Gretzky at this point.
Who's Gretzky's up there?
Yeah.
There's maybe other small, Sugar Ray Leonard maybe, but there's not really any. There would be nobody on the level of Rocky.
Right.
But he, and they just in one fell swoop, and Rocky's just said, "What happened?
All right.
I guess report now. Let's just go home." And they in one scene, they're rich and they're living in a mansion. 5 minutes later, they move back to the poor neighborhood in Philly.
Yes.
And they're just rats and street thugs and everything. They That's not how life works.
No, it is the laziest explanation for someone going from riches to rags you'll ever see. Doesn't make any sense. It gets even weirder, though, because he becomes a boxing manager who the guy has, 100 fights in 10 days?
You're skipping ahead a little bit.
Isn't the financial element, though? Wouldn't he have gotten money from being a manager?
George Washington Duke, the promoter, is desperate to lure Rocky out of retirement to get him to fight his guy. Big money fight. And first of all, Rocky 100% takes that fight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's just no world that Rocky shouldn't take that fight.
They're like, all right, well, you can't fight in America because you won't get a license, but you can go anywhere else in the world. And he's like, all right. Well, you should say all right because, oh, no, can't do it.
He can literally go.
He just fought in Russia.
He's just 5 days ago, he fought in Russia. Now his career's over. He's retired. His brain's damaged, and he ain't got no money. He's living in Philadelphia again. Anyway.
In a one-bedroom house. Or two-bedroom house.
And Paulie's still with him. Paulie's living with him. His son is living with him. Now, Tommy Gunn, who's played by the real-life Tommy Morrison.
Yes.
Tommy Gunn shows up, and he's just an all-shucks brawler from Oklahoma. Says, Rocky, take a look at me, work with me. At first, Rocky poo-poos him, and then we know how this works. He eventually takes him in.
Right.
And he trains him, and he manages him. Now, Rocky's son, Michael? Is it Michael? I don't know what Rocky.
The real actor, Stage Stallone, which is Stallone's real son.
So that's Stallone's son?
Yes.
Okay. So Rocky's son starts school in the middle of Philadelphia, and it's a street school, and he gets beaten up 2 or 3 times.
It's a Robert. Rocky Jr.
Robert. Yeah. So one of the 2 key relationships in this movie are Rocky with his son, who he ignores, and Rocky with this new fighter who he adores and gives his life to, basically, and trains him. Now, the funny part is, Rocky's son, Rocky and this guy go through about 16 fights. The guy gets to 16-0.
He's fighting at Madison Square Garden at one point.
He's fighting at Madison Square Garden. All the while, this all happens in one semester of school for Rocky Jr.
The seasons don't change.
The seasons do not change. It's getting cold, and he goes through 16 fights in about 3 months.
Yes.
They don't know how time works.
Right.
They don't understand time. They don't understand sequencing. The relationships that Rocky Jr. are crafting in school are very new, and it goes through. But all the while, Tommy Gunn and Rocky are coming all the way up from basically untested boxer to heavyweight champion contender.
Yes.
And that happens in the pivotal scene. Okay, so he starts school, which I guess is in September. And the pivotal scene where it all comes to a head happens at their Christmas party.
Right. And
who wrote this garbage?
The same guy.
Does Stallone actually have brain damage?
I mean, it's not only that, but he's living in the same house. So, they fought these 16 fights or 10 fights, whatever. He's training in the manager. You think that there'd be some. Tommy Gunn also is poor as well. Oh. No one's getting any money.
And the son literally asked Rocky to train him to box and teach him. And instead, Rocky, in this movie, I know you defend the character a lot.
Yeah.
In this movie, Rocky's an asshole.
Yeah.
In this movie, Rocky is an asshole.
So I'll defend Rocky a little bit. So
why?
Okay, so the son is always mad Rocky's busy. He's working. He's at work.
But not really.
Yeah,
he's training a guy to box.
That's
what he wants. But that's what he wants Rocky to do to him.
By the way, they also own the gym,
right?
Which I guess no money comes in there either because they're still in that shitty house the entire time.
They own the gym. I don't understand why he has no money. I don't understand how when he trains this guy he gets no money for the fights. They're just poor throughout.
Yes.
Eventually, to sum up a shitty written movie, Tommy Gunn eventually gets turned on by the lights and the pizzazz of George Washington Duke, the promoter.
Yep.
I don't say he tricks him because, frankly, he gives him an opportunity to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Yep.
And if I'm Tommy Gunn, if I'm Tommy Morrison's character, I would do that too. Frankly,
and he said that Rocky could still train him.
And I like the character of Tommy Gunn. I think is fine throughout this movie. It's poorly acted by a boxer.
Very badly acted.
It's poorly acted, but the character itself is makes sense. He wants to get trained by the best. He gets trained by Rocky, and then
Rocky makes sense until the end.
Rocky's not really getting him a championship fight, so he goes with the promoter who promises him money and titties. And that all makes sense. Now I love the car that George Washington Duke gives him as a gift. It's like a Chevrolet Cavalier convertible.
Right. Yeah.
Even then it was like an $8,000 car.
And you wonder if the top even works because they're like the girlfriend's like, "Can you put the top up?" And he's like, "No." It's like, why wouldn't you have the top up? It's like Chris. It's cold. It's Philadelphia. It's not warm.
And then the pivotal fight or the big climax is.
Well, Tommy Gunn becomes heavyweight champion of the world.
The night he becomes
right,
which was the fight in Philadelphia.
It must have been because he drove or either that. I guess New York and I don't know.
So the night that Tommy Gunn wins the world championship, he goes with George Washington Duke. Rocky's no longer affiliated. He's broken his heart, but Rocky's still rooting for him. The night he becomes champion, the press,
right
in the press conference, is like, "Oh, you didn't beat a real fighter. You're trash. You're a bum. You'll never be Rocky Balboa." Again, this press are the biggest assholes I've ever seen, and they make the guy actually mad, fighting mad, and they convince this young fighter who just became champion of the world that Rocky, he'll always be in Rocky's shadow, so he wants to fight Rocky. And George Washington Duke says, you have to challenge Rocky, you have to fight him. Now, George Washington Duke means you have to get him in the ring.
Doesn't the press also call his girlfriend a whore? Or like,
yes.
Easy?
Yeah, or something like in this front row, this is your prize, this whore.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
God damn.
It's wild.
And they go right then to Rocky's house. Right then they go to Rocky's house, and he challenged him. Rocky's at a bar. He challenged him at the bar. They fight in the street. Rocky wins the street fight.
Yes.
With his son and wife watching. And there's no fight in the ring. There's no championship moment. There's no glory. It's just right in the street.
It's just kind of an ugly street fight, and that's how it ends.
Let me say something in defense of this movie.
All right.
I don't hate the street fight at the end.
Ugh.
I don't hate that.
It's ugly. It's not even like it's not very well shot. It's just kind of just goofy and weird.
But in a franchise that ended 4 times the exact same way, pretty much. Why not think out of the box and say, "Oh, let's put them in the streets this time. Let's make the stakes lower but higher at the same time." I don't hate that idea. I'm not going to argue that it was well done, but I don't hate the idea. I think it could have been well done.
So the original script was Rocky dies. Tommy Gunn beats Rocky to death, and Rocky dies in Adrian's arms. And you get an Adrian voiceover saying like we all can be Rockies. We all can get our dreams.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That's worse than what we got.
Yeah, the studio stepped in. I think they wanted to keep the character alive, potential sequels.
Well, that was pretty smart.
Yes.
That was pretty smart. But I understand why it's maligned and hated. I think there are redeemable qualities to this movie, and I don't think it's the trash. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is.
It's awful. It's so badly acted. Nothing makes sense time-wise. It's so lazily written. The guy who wrote it, Stallone, the guy that created these characters, almost writes as he has no understanding of how these characters behave. Rocky's this, like I said, weird man-child.
Rocky's a blubbering mess throughout this entire movie.
Adrian is like kind of like a pushy woman all of a sudden when she's usually so.
Yeah, she's a girl boss.
Yeah, the son is all over the place.
The son is meek, timid, and then bam, he's running the neighborhood.
Yes,
and like there's these in the movie. There's these 2 bullies that beat him up twice.
Kevin Connolly from Entourage, one of the bullies.
Really?
Yeah.
He's very nervous to go to school. The bullies beat him up, and they beat him up again. Yep. And then finally he musters up the courage. He beats up the bully. And in the next scene, him, the bully's girlfriend, and the bully's friend, and the bully are just chilling at the house watching TV.
Now there's only
you know what they're watching? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, that's right.
They're watching National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is very funny to me.
Yes, it's very bizarre. It's funny how like there's only, I guess, 4 kids in this school because they either fight or hang out.
That's the only kids we see. Yeah,
right.
But and then he's like, he goes from timid and meek, he beats up the bullies, he brings the bullies into his crew, and then next scene he's smoking a cigarette.
Yes, and he has an earring.
He has an earring all of a sudden.
Very long.
And there's no big deal about the earring.
No.
I was like, okay, he's just has an earring now.
Yes.
Like, okay, like it's like they skip pages with that character.
Yes.
Now he's this.
Well, we keep saying how time is just so odd in this movie. Like nothing really makes sense from a time perspective. Like the son apparently is like 2 years older. Maybe he's like more rebellious.
Yeah,
but yet,
well, he's a rebellious teen. But in the beginning of the movie, he's a timid child that Rocky literally tucks into bed.
Right.
which was weird.
Yeah.
Because he's like 11.
Yeah.
He's tucking him into bed, and he's...
He might be older than that, but yes.
That was... I texted you immediately.
Yes.
I was like, why is he tucking in an 11-year-old? Like, really tucking him in and patting his head, and like, it's just weird.
So what did you think was redeeming about this? I'm kind of lost, because there's very little I see redeeming in this.
I think that I think the Tommy Gunn character is not a terrible character. I think the actor is bad. Tommy Morrison couldn't act.
Right.
But I like he was kind of a Rocky himself. He's a dumb kid from the sticks who's hungry, and he goes and tries to find his break, and he hunts down his idol, and his idol walks him through, and then he gets turned on by the glitz and the glamour, and somebody leads him astray, and he gets caught up in that boxing underbelly that Rocky tells him not to. I don't think it's a terrible character. I think it's an okay character.
Yeah, I think it's horrible. I think it's exactly what would have happened if this is made with a different actor, like Rocky 1. Like, Tommy Morrison is so unlikable. He's so bad in the role.
I don't think he's unlikable.
Oh, I did. I didn't like.
Because I look at a guy who couldn't act.
No charisma.
He couldn't act, but he was thrown into the world of acting. I think he did what a boxer would do in that situation. Like I didn't think Tommy Morrison was the worst part of this movie. I think the worst part of this movie
was the script.
The script, yeah, the writing, and then the situations and the stories. But Tommy Gunn was fine to me.
So I do want to talk about John G. Avildsen real quick. So John G. Avildsen's the director of Rocky 1 and Rocky 5. And the mentality was they wanted to bring it back to the streets. They even show, like, there's one scene where Tommy Gunn's fighting. It's the same, like, Jesus picture. It's the same place where Rocky 1 starts.
Well, I mean, there's so much of that where they return to the roots. Rocky goes and sees the father.
From
the priest.
Rocky 2.
He sees the priest multiple times in the movie. He even goes in the gym when the gym is disheveled and got rats everywhere, and he has a flashback, a long one, of Mickey standing in the ring talking to him. So they bring everything back. Adrian goes to work in the pet store again.
Right,
yeah,
which is just silly.
So everything they used to do, they do again. They take it back. But why did they decide that was Rocky didn't need to go back? That's not realistic.
We talked about great sports directors, and we talked about Ron Shelton last week, and how he should be in the Sports Hall of Fame. And I was making a case for John G. Avildsen because not only did he do Rocky, he also did Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Now, he also did the Karate Kid sequels, 2 and 3, which I think are I don't think those are good movies at all.
I think 2's okay.
Yeah, most people feel that way. I think
3's bad.
Karate Kid 1 is one of my favorite. That's in my top 100. I think it's a great movie. Rocky is fantastic, but Rocky 5 is so bad. But he also did another sports movie I forgot about, 8 Seconds, the bull riding movie with Luke
Perry, yeah.
But this was really the end for him, was Rocky 5. He did 3 more movies after this.
Well, 8 Seconds is after this.
Yeah, but that was not in the same scale. But after 8 Seconds, he only did one other movie, went pretty much right to video, and that was it. He died fairly recently, but what an interesting career. He won the Oscar for Best Director, and then also was nominated for Worst Director 3 different times.
Well, let me ask you a question on John G. Avildsen. And you say, director at Rocky. How much of Rocky 1 was actually directed by Stallone?
Directed? I don't think much. I think Avildsen directed that. Because you think about where Stallone was in his career. Now, Stallone directed...
Stallone wrote it?
Wrote it.
Stallone acted it.
Right.
Like, those are 2 massive parts. And in the middle, there's this actor just telling him what to do according to his script. Like I feel like there had to be moments where Stallone stepped in and be like, actually, John, we should do it this way.
I mean, he was such an unknown. I don't think so. Now, did that happen with Rocky 5?
Yeah.
That may have happened. It's funny because Stallone directed 2, 3, and 4, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's funny that he had someone else. I think he wanted to have it feel so much like Rocky 1. I think he thought...
He wanted to recapture the magic.
But he also wanted this to be the last one in the series. I think he was trying to kind of put an end cap on it.
But it's not written... It's not really written to be the last one in the series. I know he retires. I know he gets into managing. I know he does these things. But he still wins the fight at the end. He's still got gas in the tank. There's still story. There's still story to be told there. And told better.
Yeah, and like Rocky Balboa is like a decent movie. It's good. It's got some fun qualities to it. And then the Creed movies are very good.
Yeah.
So there obviously is a lot more story there. But I can also maybe understand how Stallone maybe wanted to do something else at that point. I don't know. I don't know what was going on or what he was thinking when he had the original script. But I think that's why they did hire Avildsen, which ended up being a huge disaster.
I think this is a watchable movie.
Oh, no. I
think this is a watchable movie.
It's not watchable at all.
It's watchable.
Is this better? So the best worst movie we've covered so far in this show is Draft Day.
Yeah.
You think this is
a little worse than Draft Day?
A little worse?
I think it's worse than Draft Day.
Is it the next best one for you then?
I think it might be the next best one for me.
It would be second, yeah. It would be. I mean, we've seen some really shitty movies here. Like last week, we watched Celtic Pride, and it was god fucking.
Yeah, I give that a 6.
This.
I give Ed an 8.
And I don't remember what I scored draft day, so hopefully I slide it where I need to slide it. I have the number in mind for this. But if in a year from now I'm in a Rocky rewatch, I would not skip watching this movie. I would watch it.
Oh, I skip over it every time. I watched a couple years ago for a pop culture show I did, but other than that,
I think its reputation is worse than the actual movie.
It's very bad. It's very bad. The problem is Rocky Balboa doesn't quite make as much sense unless you watch this movie, though. So it does have some sort of you kind of have to watch it
because it's got some Sun elements, right?
His son element, which see his son in 4, but he also just doesn't have. He's running a restaurant in Rocky Balboa, but he's not as super rich as he was. You'd probably be wondering what happened to all this guy's money? He had a robot in his fucking house. What happened here?
Well, apparently one signature to an accountant can give him power of attorney, and he can take away all your money, your assets, your everything.
Also, your ability to even make future assets. Apparently, it's wild.
It's just so weird.
It's so funny because at the end they tell him, "Oh, you can't endorse anything. You're basically..."
Which is absurd. And
then at the end of the movie, he literally is running up to a statue of himself. It's if you have a statue, you can make money.
Yeah.
If someone builds a statue, you have earning potential.
Also, you're in Philly. He's in Philly.
Yes.
He's a god in Philly. He's not gonna go back to the slums of Philly. He's gonna have a cushy landing spot somewhere in Philly.
Yes.
Somebody's taking care of that guy.
Yes.
It's absurd. It's absurd. And even now, knowing what the estate of Creed became, Mary Ann is Creed's wife.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mary Ann would have took care of Rocky. If you see what her character became, there's just too much to the way they wrote this movie to take him from rags to riches or riches to rags in seconds is it throws the whole thing off.
It does. It's just a bad idea. It's badly executed, badly created.
It's a badly written movie.
It's a terrible movie. I'm giving this a 28. It's just barely better than Eddie.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, of all the movies we've covered, there's maybe no movie that is a sadder watch for me. I think I told you this is the saddest watch for me. This movie just bums me out so much because I love this character so much. It's such a bad movie. It's such a sad situation that happens to him. It just sucks.
I'm going to give it a 48.
Okay. You liked it that much?
Below average, yeah.
What did you like about it?
I guess I don't have the really big connection to Rocky as a character. I don't love the Rocky movies as much as you do. So by that token, when it goes awry, I'm not hurt by it. It doesn't sadden me. It doesn't bother me. It's just I see a poorly made movie, but not something that is destructive to something I love.
Is there any scene you liked? I'm trying to find anything that's
I like the street fight. I thought it was fine. Right. I thought the George Washington Duke character and that actor wasn't good, but it was a pretty good representation of Don King.
Right.
It made sense having lived through Don King.
Yes.
That was not a bad.
That person existed in the real
world. That person existed.
Yeah.
I think if it were better acted, I don't know even who that was.
Yeah.
But if it were better acted, that character is one that was redeeming. I think Tommy Morrison is fine.
Oh, he's awful. He really.
Let me say it right.
The movie for
I think Tommy Gunn is fine. I think the character of Tommy Gunn is fine.
But why does he get so Rocky takes care of him, cares for him, has him live in the house, and
he's a fighter, but he's
trying to beat him up.
Because he's a fighter who's dumb and hungry, and this guy, this shark, this predator, preys on that and convinces him that you can come get money, pussy, everything with me, and Rocky's holding you back.
Fine,
that's very believable. Very believable.
That's fine, but now you got to go beat him up in the streets?
The guy convinces him they'll never love you until you take care of Rocky. The guy preys on him. That makes sense. You're stupid. Who's the least valuable player?
Actor's name is Richard Gant, by the way. He played. Least valuable in this is the script. It's Stallone. It's funny. The most valuable is Stallone. The least valuable is Stallone.
Just another note on Paulie. He's beyond useless here. I don't even know why he's in this movie.
Well, he cost him all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Paulie's always kind of the reason for
But
Stallone's,
even when he does that,
Rocky's issues.
Even when he does that, you see they soften the character so much because nobody really gets mad at him.
No, this point is
there's a 5-minute argument where they're like, "Hey, Paulie, why'd you do this? You cost us all our money. We got to move back to Philly." And the next scene, they're like, "All right, Paulie, which room do you want?"
Right. Yeah. Well, Adrian's mad at him, but even Rocky's never really mad at Paulie. He's like,
because Rocky's useless here.
He's just like.
Rocky's a fucking lump here.
I mean, how much money? Even in 1985,
Millions.
like 200, $300 million, right?
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's funny, he only had one property.
And I still think, he has no assets. No car, apparently.
Well, they had an estate sale. But it's just like, someone of Rocky worth that much would have multiple homes.
Yeah. Anyway, 48, least valuable player is, to me, it's whoever wrote it, which is Stallone. Yeah.
Which
it never had a chance to really be good because it was written so poorly.
Yes, I agree. This movie never had a shot.
Anyway, what are we going to do next week?
We don't know yet. We got you want to do good? We talked about this before. You want to do good, bad, or do you want to do like?
Let's do let's try this to engage a little bit with people on Twitter. Let's do a Twitter poll this week.
Okay.
Let's do it on Lights Camera Barstool. We'll come up with 3 or 4 combinations of movies, and we'll let people decide.
They're gonna okay.
What?
Okay.
Engage. It's always good to engage with your audience.
I don't mind that.
I have audience, so I understand.
Yeah, your audience is bigger than mine. You trying to just be mean to me now?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I gotta go.
Okay. Thank you for watching Lights Camera Barstool. He's a dumb hillbilly moron. I'm Chris Klemmer. We'll be back next week.
It's a shame I was so mean to you.